Well, that came out of nowhere, didn't it? Who'd have thought that a Netflix original 80s throwback would become the mega hit show it did? Certainly, it ran the risk of being lost in the glut of other Netflix-made shows. Seriously, Netflix, slow down. But as they say, the cream rises to the top. And make no mistake, Stranger Things oozes quality from the top down. But what is it that makes Stranger Things so good? I mean, it doesn't do anything especially new or groundbreaking. In fact, a huge chunk of the show's appeal is how unoriginal it is, how it trades on 80s nostalgia. And there's no strong hook that pulls the viewer in from the start. I mean, the beginning has cliché written all over it. A boy goes missing in the woods, boring! But I guarantee that if you're an avid fan trying to get a friend to watch Stranger Things, and they ask you, why should I watch it? Your response is usually something like, oh, seriously, I can't say, just watch it. Because, let's be honest, to describe the synopsis of Stranger Things, it makes it sound quite boring. The odds, they were stacked against Stranger Things from the start. But anyone who has completed the first season of Stranger Things will tell you that it is, indeed, a huge success of a show. It beats all the odds, and yet, if you were to ask me, or most fans, why it's a success, they probably can't tell you why. So, let's take this showcase to throw Stranger Things upside down and put it under lab surgery to dig out exactly what it is that makes Stranger Things so good. And what we find should encourage any would-be writer out there. Because Stranger Things works so well, not from any clever concepts, big-ticket set pieces, or mind-bending plot twists, but from taking a straightforward story that's already been told 1,000 times before and simply doing it well. Very, very well. Because, despite what many will tell you, ideas are cheap. New writers, they hoard their clever ideas and concepts for stories like they're something precious, labouring under the assumption that they're rarefied artifacts, meal tickets to fame and fortune that others would steal in a heartbeat. But the truth is that ideas, they're everywhere. For every novel in the bookstore, there's hundreds of thousands of ideas that get shelved, cannibalized, rejected, or just plain forgotten. The famous mantra of, "There's no more original ideas left in the world," it's nonsense. It serves to perpetuate this myth that finding an original idea is the equivalent of finding Atlantis. There's plenty of original ideas out there. If you were to sit down and concentrate for an hour, I guarantee that you would come up with at least one original idea for a story. I guarantee it. No, the saying should be, original ideas are like pollen. They're everywhere, and you can reach out and grab them at any time. But originality is not quality. Very few pollen will survive to grow into tall trees. Okay, that phrase doesn't roll off the tongue quite as easily, granted, but it's true. While anyone can have an idea, the rarity, the real rarity, comes in great ideas. If you're an experienced writer, you already know what I'm talking about. Those great ideas that basically write themselves. No, 99% of ideas are either completely bonkers out there ridiculous and will never come to fruition because of lack of practicality, or the idea is pretty mundane. But here's the thing. Mundane ideas, they're fine. In many respects, a writer who can take a mundane or an average idea and massage them into something of quality, they are streets ahead of the writer who sits on great ideas, doing nothing with them because they can't decide how to do their great ideas justice. And this is what Stranger Things does. It doesn't have an original bone in its body. It's a pastiche of Stephen King, John Carpenter, E.T. and The Navigator. But it takes these tried and tested storytelling formulae and quite simply uses them well. It doesn't try to introduce any clever twists or brain-melting ideas. It knows the cake it wants to bake from the very beginning and sets about baking it to the best of its ability. No crazy ingredients, no wacky recipe in the mix. It's a tried and tested formula and it executes it to perfection. It's a show that is very comfortable in its own skin. It knows what it wants to achieve from the beginning and how it will get there. It doesn't wrestle or struggle with those clever high concept ideas or complicate itself to the point that it needs to backpedal or hit a big reset button. I'm looking at you, Sherlock. So the pacing is on point. No episode feels like filler or rushed or undoing what the previous episode did. At no point do we have the story stop and have characters explain what the hell is happening to each other, i.e. explaining it to the audience. In fact, the most mysterious aspect of Stranger Things, the monster and the world of Upside Down, are not explained and barely glimpsed until the latter stages of the season. Now that is a smart move from the creators. Not only does this maintain the sense of mystery and suspense and put you firmly in the shoes of the protagonists who are as unsure of the facts as you are, but it takes advantage of just how, well, unoriginal the monster and the Upside Down are. Now, that sounds harsh, but it isn't meant to be. We've already established that originality isn't quality. Instead, because Stranger Things is thick with the DNA of many shows that came before it and inspired it, the audience can paint a picture in their own minds of what they believe the monster or the Upside Down are. Complementing the smooth pacing is the fact that there is no flab or excess in the lean 10-episode running time. There is no character who serves no purpose, nothing that sets up that receives no payoff. I mean, notwithstanding questions deliberately left hanging for future seasons, of course. Nothing that doesn't serve the story. The way the multiple subplots dovetail together in the final stages of the story is handled with deft skill, without feeling tacked on or ham-fisted. It all feels very natural. And this is why everybody should take note of Stranger Things' success, especially hopeful writers. Because here we have a TV show that aims to do nothing more than tell a darn good story, and to hell with originality. No outlandish ideas, no ultimate stakes with the end of the world looming, no competing with other media for who can shout loudest for the most attention from viewers' eyeballs and eardrums. No, it instead quietly sets about telling the story it wants to tell as well as it can, regardless of whether its tropes are cliche or not. Isn't it wonderful to know that simply great storytelling can still champion everything in this day and age? And that's the strangest thing of all, but I'm glad it's a thing. And that's it for today's showcase. Thank you very much for listening. The written version of this is on my website, link in the description below, along with links to my social media, blogs, and also my Patreon if you wish to support my work. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.